Some of Donald Trump's voters are already facing the consequences of their votes, and we are now seeing panic, fear, and regret amongst individuals in the MAGA community. Whether it's workers and businesses being impacted by tariffs, Trump voters realizing their families will no longer talk to them, or reality setting in that Trump actually wants to do all those horrible things he promised on the campaign trail, we are seeing signs of this instant regret all over the place. My name is Brett Meiselas here with the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to hit subscribe if you are not backing down from this fight for our democracy. Let's dive right in. Here's a woman who voted for Donald Trump who is now devastated that her family, her grandma, her mother, her sister will not speak to her anymore. Watch this.
This is my last political post, okay? I'm gonna lay it to rest. Let me just tell you guys, I'm not crying happy tears. I'm not gonna be apologetic for being excited, because if it was the other way around, all of the Kamala supporters would celebrate. I wanna say that first. I'm very relieved because I voted what I believe in, and I felt heavy on my heart that it's the right thing. So knowing that it was the decision the American people made, I'm relieved and I'm very happy. Very, very happy, okay? It's the very first day of finding out the election results. All of us are happy. I'm very happy, but I'm not going to continue to post about it, but I'm also not going to be sorry about it. And I always talked about how my family, sorry, I don't want to make this more than once. I always talked about how my family had different beliefs, my grandma and my mom and my sister, and how we always got along. And I wore my grandma's sweater to go vote, and I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to cry, okay? But my heart's broken.
Try not to cry.
Yeah, try it. My grandma just sent me a very sad text. It broke my heart. And my mom has yet to text me back today. My point of making this video is to say that I am very happy, and I expressed how happy I was. And I'm not gonna be sorry for that. I'm completely heartbroken that my family is taking it how they are. I never did this to them when Biden won. Never. But I am done with political posts. From here on out, it's back to normal. If you don't like me because of who I voted for and you have to unfollow, go ahead. My own family unsubscribed from my life, so you can too. I promise. It doesn't get worse than that.
You know, this is not an isolated case. The thing is, no one's rights were at risk when someone voted for Kamala Harris. That is not the case for those who voted for Donald Trump. And here's another story along those lines. This is shared by somebody named Ashley Smalls. She writes, quote, "My conservative cousin has just found out that he has nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. We've heard him word for word say he doesn't believe women should have property, but he was still expecting women in his family to let him eat at their property." Yeah, she makes a very good point. Here's another story. This one was shared online by a Trump voter. They wrote the following, quote, "I voted for Trump. My wife sent me divorce papers. What do? I didn't even know it was possible to be served divorce papers this quickly. I don't even know what to say. I am shocked I married somebody willing to throw away our entire life over politics. Last week we were happy. Today we are getting divorced. She won't have a discussion. She says nothing will change her mind. Insists she is going to report my parents because they live off of disability, but my dad does some cash work auto repair, so now I am worried for my whole family. She wants me to buy her out of the house. We have $300,000 in it, plus built a 4-bay garage since we bought it 3 years ago. I can't afford that. When I told her this, as she was packing up her things, she said, quote, I guess you're finally going to really know how it feels to be effed by a Democrat. Her name is on the deed, but not the mortgage. I'm not confident that I can reason with her. What do? Where do I start? How do I fix this? Is anybody else experiencing this in the wake of the election results? Well, what you could do is not vote against the interests of the women in your life. Another user online shared the following story. They said, quote, so my sister-in-law voted Trump, now regrets it. wants to die. Her daughter's calling her a Nazi. She said she voted for him because she didn't want abortion and believed the lie of teachers giving trans surgery and his policies. When asked about his policies, she could not give one. Here's a story from a mom with 2 daughters in college who are now refusing to go to any family gatherings because their grandmother and aunts, the mom's sisters, voted for Trump. She shared the following, quote, "My kids won't come to Thanksgiving or Christmas. I know, this is fake. I'm a troll. This never happened, blah, blah, blah." This is 100% true. I have 2 daughters that are both in college. We have a family group chat with my parents, all of my siblings, and all the grandchildren. My parents and siblings are all Trump voters/supporters and are not shy about it. Most family gatherings will devolve into arguing between them and myself. I grew up in this shit show. My kids did not. After the election, my kids silently left the group chat. My mothers and sisters are trying to plan Thanksgiving through the chat. When my mother noticed my daughters left, she called to ask me why. I told her they are grown adults, so she would need to ask them. So she did. One of my 2 daughters is lesbian. When my mother asked the 2 girls, they told my mom that they would no longer be attending any family functions, including Christmas and Thanksgiving. This created a shit show on an epic scale in the family chat. My mother tried to explain to my kids that their vote had nothing to do with them. My oldest explained that they exposed their character and they were raised to not engage with people that condone rape, lying, and cheating. She told my mother that your votes will directly impact our lives in a negative way, and you guys did not care. You chose a politician's hollow words over your grandkids. There was more, and I'm paraphrasing. My parents and siblings are furious. I think it's important to say that I pay for both of my kids' college, their health insurance, car insurance, food, and gas. I pay for airfare when they come home. They don't work. My deal with them was if they went to school and got good grades, I would pay if I could. My mother wants me to cut them off until they come to Thanksgiving and Christmas. I said no. I have my kids' backs and they are adults. I will not force them to make a choice they do not want to make. My siblings are saying I am an a-hole and I'm dividing the family. I honestly never thought I would be in this insane situation, but here we are. I commend you for allowing your children to stand for their principles and for you having their backs. I think that shows actual strength in this situation. This is just really tragic stuff we're seeing. I mean, people truly don't seem to understand that when you vote against human rights, and that directly impacts your own family members, don't expect them to act like, oh, it's just politics, everything is okay. Midas Touch contributor Tennessee Brando wrote a brilliant song about all of this. He calls it Cheaper Eggs, and if you don't mind, I want to play it for you now. Watch.
The red hats are flexing, they're all acting thrilled. They don't know how tariffs work, but soon they sure will. They think their leader saved them and he's restored their faith. But we see they cut their noses off to spite their own face. They sold out their daughters and they threw away their friends on a senseless notion it could all be great again. When they scream we didn't vote for this, remind them yes you did. And ask them how it's going with them cheaper eggs. We pointed out the obvious, they called us a liar. Got their information straight from a dumpster fire. Now they're turning up the hatred and they're thumping on their chest for a man who wouldn't wipe his nose on their Sunday best. They pinned all their faith on the devil's coat. So now is the time they can all sit back and gloat. But once the dust settles and reality creeps in, they'll slowly realize the true enemy within. But they sold out their daughters and they threw away their friends on a senseless notion it could all be great again. When they scream we didn't vote for this, remind them yes you did. And ask them how it's going with those cheaper eggs. I really hope it's worth it for them cheaper eggs.
Thanks, Tennessee Brando. Remember to subscribe to his channel on YouTube, by the way. Now, let's get back into these stories. Here are some other people shocked to learn that Trump's policies are going to harm their own family members. MAGA influencer Benny Johnson, who was found to be funded by Russia as part of that Tenet Media scandal, wrote the following, quote, "It is my honor to inform you all that Project 2025 was real the whole time." This prompted a Trump supporter named Peggy, who has a gay son, to write the following, "Better leave my son out of this, he's gay, but don't believe in the trans thing or changing any male parts. He voted for Trump, and I'm hoping this Project 2025 doesn't mess with my son. He don't partake in the LGBTQ. He just wants to be left alone." Well, Peggy, Kamala Harris wanted your son to be left alone. And yes, he is part of the LGBTQ community. It is Donald Trump and Republicans who do not want to leave your son alone. I just can't believe this denial that we are seeing from people. Another MAGA influencer, Matt Walsh, wrote the following. He shared a similar message about Project 2025, writing, quote, "Now that the election is over, I think we can finally say that, yeah, Project 2025 is the agenda, LOL. And then a Trump supporter responded to him saying the following, quote, "I am black. I just got into politics this year. I lean to the Republican thinking Trump doesn't want Project 2025. I love Matt Walsh, and I really hope he is joking. This shit is kind of scary for people like me, bro." Well, people are about to find out the hard way, I guess. Here's a video posted by a Latino for Trump who is now upset to find that all of the Trump supporters in his neighborhood are now refusing to play with his kids. Watch this.
Hola familia. Aquí con ustedes, haciendo este.
So for all the English-speaking people that are watch this video. Basically, the guy is talking about his experiences living in a neighborhood filled with other Trump supporters. He wanted his kids to play with the other Trump supporters, but guess what? They don't want his kids to play with their kids because their kids are Hispanic, to the point where they're going to scare the kids off by shooting guns in the air. But this is what you wanted. This is what y'all picked. So don't complain and don't bitch. This is what you chose.
Here's a story about a DACA recipient who voted for Trump, who is now terrified that his parents may be deported under Trump's mass deportations. This user wrote the following, quote, "A true story. One of my employees, a former DACA recipient who became a U.S. citizen through marriage, recently shared his reasons for voting for Trump. His parents, who are undocumented, have worked hard to make a life here, his father in construction and his mother in medical equipment manufacturing. Despite the risks, he feels the need to protect them, especially now. His choice to support Trump was driven by concerns over inflation, which he believes has made it increasingly hard for his parents to make ends meet on their wages. He wasn't aware of the mass deportation narrative until he started getting text messages from people saying, quote, 'Pack your bags,' people not realizing he is actually a U.S. citizen now. He started researching it, and now he is utterly terrified for his two parents." Here's another post along those lines. This person writes, quote, "My mom's coworker voted for Trump because of the, quote, economy, and is now in a panic because she is worried her undocumented husband will get deported. Face, meet, leopard." I'd like to speak with you for a quick moment about climate and make clear that this issue will always remain a top priority for us here at MeidasTouch. And activists across the country are already working hard to ensure that we not only protect, but build on the climate success of the Biden-Harris administration. After the election, Lori Lodes, who is the executive director of Climate Power, spoke at a press conference in Washington, D.C., alongside major climate action groups, laying out the stakes of the 2024 election for the American people. Lori emphasized that thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, over 330,000 new jobs are now being created across the U.S. Energy costs are falling, and cleaner energy is rapidly becoming more accessible. She drew a powerful parallel to her time defending the Affordable Care Act, noting how, when threatened, people realized what they would lose. Lori warns that if Republicans dismantle the Inflation Reduction Act, it's not about some sort of abstract law. It's about gutting good-paying jobs, slashing tax credits that ease energy bills, and derailing community progress, particularly in local economies. And when that actually hits home with communities like it did with the Affordable Care Act, the pressure can become far too great on the anti-climate forces in the GOP, and their efforts can completely collapse. Heck, even Speaker Johnson and key Republicans are divided on this very issue, with some in their ranks standing up for those clean energy investments. But Lori says just as people united to defend healthcare, communities, workers, and leaders across the country will stand strong to protect clean energy jobs and progress, refusing to let this hard-won momentum slip away. So Midas Mighty, let's stay strong. Let's protect these jobs. Let's protect the future of our country and our planet. Now, let's get back to the video. Here is an unemployed Trump voter who said they voted for Trump because he promised to kill Obamacare, but says he hopes Trump keeps his hands off the Affordable Care Act, which he relies upon. Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. Here's what this guy wrote online. He wrote the following, quote, I just voted for him because he's going to kill Obamacare. I am unemployed and Obamacare effing sucks. I'd rather just have the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, by itself instead of this communism shit. And then someone responded to him by saying, Obamacare is the ACA. It is literally keeping you alive. You voted to take away your health care. And then the original poster wrote back, quote, why the F do people have two different names for it? Obama equals bad and affordable equals good. I effing hate Democrats. Well, if you remember, it was the Republicans who branded it as Obamacare originally to try to scare people like you. Maybe your hate should be directed at those trying to take away your health care and not the people who are trying to actually save your life. How about that? Here's another story similar to that one. This person writes, quote, woman in my mom's group approved of abortion ban, grew a human with her POS husband. Husband now left. She voted for Trump because she is trad. That means like a traditional housewife. She is now complaining that Trump might take her Social Security because she did not think it applied to her. Only immigrants. I want off this planet. Sometimes, me too. Me too. And many of Trump's voters are now realizing that Trump's policies are about to affect their bank accounts in a big way as a result of his planned tariffs. Here's a story someone shared. They wrote the following, quote, so we had a meeting at work with possible tariffs on vehicle parts. We are cutting holiday bonus because we have to stock up on parts. And my fellow coworkers who voted for this to happen had surprise Pikachu face, dumb Fs. One of you shared with us in our comments here the following, quote, I personally own a small business in the field of construction, and I could testify that my business has already started preparations for the tariffs. Prior to the election, I had conversations with suppliers and vendors about tariffs. Businesses are preparing. Americans can pretend that the tariffs aren't real, but I promise you that the rising prices and potential layoffs will be very, very real. Thank you for sharing that with us. Another commenter of ours wrote the following, quote, a, quote, family friend that voted for Trump found out that he is losing his job because the company is hunkering down for oncoming tariffs. I laughed in his face and said, I told you so. You could see his heart break. It was glorious. Here's another story. This person wrote, quote, one of my general contractors I partner with is a Trump guy. We want a new job that will start next year. I just told him I will not honor today's materials pricing past January. He asked why. I said tariffs could cause a 100% increase in the cost of goods sold or more, that I would send new pricing in the spring. He said, but I have to sign the fixed price contract with them tomorrow. And there you have it. One lesson learned, 2 days too late. Too bad, so sad. And gamers who voted for Trump are now furious at potential price hikes to their gaming consoles, responding to a story that console prices could skyrocket by 40% due to Trump's victory, and tariffs could make a PlayStation 5 Pro cost up to $1,000. A Trump supporter wrote the following, this shit better be fake news. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but none of this is fake news. This is your new reality under Donald Trump. This is what you voted for. You broke it, you bought it, and now you have to experience the consequences of your actions. And sadly, we do too. But at least we can go through these next few years with a clean conscience, and we are going to work here at the Midas Touch Network and in this pro-democracy community to fight back every single day. And we can only do that with your support. So please remember to hit subscribe. Help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you soon.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.